What's up, hooligans? I'll be reviewing the T23E3 and seeing if this all tier 7 medium could still hold up in today's World of Tanks Blitz. The hit point pool of the E3 is very good, sitting at 1,325. There really isn't any armor on the tank. I'll flash the stats on the screen, but we'll look at the armor more in Armor Inspector. View range is pretty good at 290.4, so you'll easily be able to spot the enemy for your team. The concealment is pretty decent for the E3. Damage per minute is good at 2,651, and the reload time is pretty quick, sitting at 3.62 seconds. You could tear apart the enemies really quick if they underestimate you. The penetration is alright, with the AP being 168, APCR 218, and HE 42. You'll be able to pin a good amount of the tanks that you go up against, but not enemies with thick armor like the Object 252U and others. Alpha damage really isn't anything special. AP is at 160, APCR 135, and HE 200. The T23E3 doesn't really pack a punch, but relies pretty heavily on the DPM. Aiming time is pretty fast at 3.3 seconds, and the dispersion isn't the best, but it's alright at 0.326. The gun elevation is superb, sitting at 20 degrees, but to my utter disappointment, the gun depression sucks at 6 degrees. That is probably the biggest letdown of this tank, and in my opinion, what is really holding it back, because you can't use hills or ridgelines effectively. The E3 is a quick boy with the top speed going forward 56 and reverse 30 and average speed 37. It won't be the fastest, but it is definitely fast enough to spot, reposition, flank, and support your team. Turn rates on the medium are very good, with the turret being 48.60 and the hull at 55.89 degrees a second. The terrain crossing capacity and engine power look very good for the T23E3. I'll flash the consumables, provisions, ammunition, and equipment I use on the screen, copy it, or use it as a template. That's just how I like to use the tank. Credit coefficient is alright at 156%. It won't make an insane amount of credits, but it'll still make a good amount for you. As you can see, there is literally no armor on this thing. The only armor it has is the gun mantlet. That's it, nothing else. So everyone will pin your front, sides, and rear. Granted, you'll get a troll balance here and there. So how would you play the T23E3, and what are some tactics you could use to play it effectively? First, I would spot for my team, then play a more passive supporting role since there's literally no armor you can rely on. Peekaboo is good, especially with the reload. You could whittle a good amount of the enemy HP down before they even knew what hit them. Trading is not recommended. You want to conserve as many hit points as you can at the start of the battle, so towards the end you can't afford to take a few hits when it matters the most. Hit and run is pretty good if you could get a few shots off and get away safely. Circle death is okay, just be careful of tanks with faster turn rates. It'll perform good in 1v1s with the reload speed and maneuverability of the tank. Just make sure you have enough HP to take the hits and know the enemy you're going up against, if you could take them out easily or not. Sniping won't be the best at longer ranges, but mid to close range is best suited for the medium. This is how you would want to play the T23E3 if it was a perfect world, but the battle and situation will change. For example, you might have to be more aggressive and lead a flank or push. You'll just have to adapt to what is going on around you. Use the tips I just gave you, use some common sense, and you should do well. If you think I left anything important out, please let me know in the comments so others could play the tank effectively. Also, if you'd like to see my channel grow, give the video a like, leave a comment about videos you would like to see in the future, or just start a conversation down there. And share it with anyone you think might enjoy my content. Now let's get to the replay. I get into a position where I could easily punish any enemy that is trying to push over towards base A. And I am sure many of you have moved into this spot and punished countless of heavy tanks trying to desperately cross that gap. I wait for my camo to reset, but I notice someone is capping out B. So I pull out and try to spot whoever is capping out base B. For a second, nobody is spotted, so I was about to pull back into cover, but then the Skoda T56 pulls out. I get one into him and back up before anybody could light me up. I'm observing the Skoda, trying to plan my next course of action depending on if he decides to push me or not. I check the left and contemplate if pushing the Skoda is really a good idea because I don't really want to take a hit from any TDs that are on those hills. I decide screw it, make sure he's not aiming in my direction, get one shot into him, and I am able to get the second one off before he gets into cover. I take a moment to observe the battle. I see that we have two heavy tanks on our right side, the entire rest of the team on the left hand side, and I slowly come to the realization that if our left side does not push now, we are going to lose the battle. I don't have any shots from where I'm at right now, and there are only two enemy tanks on our right side. When half of our team is there, they could easily plow right through them, so I decide to start making my way over there and hopefully motivate my team to just get through them and support our heavy tanks before it's too late. I'm willing to take that hit from the Skoda so I could help my team move and be effective in this battle, because so far, they they really haven't done anything. I stop out in the open and literally text out to my team, you need to start moving, there's only 2 over here. Finally, they started moving up and taking out the enemy. Granted, it took them a little bit of time and motivation to do that, but at least we're getting somewhere now. I talk about adapting to the battle and the situation that you're in a lot, and this is a really good example of that. I could have just said my team was going to lose and stayed right where I was at and get as much damage as I could. But instead, I adapted to the situation at hand and I decided to push over and motivate my team on the left to start moving and doing something. So then it went from a losing battle to one that we could most likely win. I flanked around the T23E3 and caught him completely off guard. He was distracted and wasn't even looking in my direction, so he was pretty easy to take care of. Finally, we are going to finish off the Skoda T56, the one guy who has been following me around the entire game, or at least trying to. With half my team here against one heavy tank, he's not really going to stand a chance, especially with the rate of fire of this tank. He tried fighting as long as he possibly could against pretty much my entire team, and I can respect him for that, but in the end, it didn't really matter. He was going to get taken out one way or another. It's a 4v3 and the entire enemy team is by base A and B, so I decided to push up and try to get some spots for my team. And it looks like they had the same idea. I snap a shot off and pull back and get another one into that E3. I tried to get another one, but the ISU was pushing up pretty aggressive, so I focused my attention on him. I thought about baiting his shot, but if you notice in the background, the M48 is rushing the E3, so I don't have to worry about both of these tanks hitting me at the same time, and I saved enough HP in order to take a hit from the ISU so I could easily just take him out of the game. And all that's left is the IS-3 defender. I start making my way towards him, but I am a one-shot, so I gotta be cautious and make sure he's not focusing me or looking in my direction when I come around the corner. Luckily for me, he is focusing the German M48, so all I have to do is focus my shots and make sure they hit. And we end up stealing the kill for the win. We got 3,280 damage, 2 tanks destroyed, and the first class. We got a decent amount of credits and first on the leaderboard for that battle. If my voice has been sounding off this entire video like I'm sick, that's because I am. Don't worry, I don't have COVID. It's just a common cold. It should be gone within a few days. So that's why the content's slowing down a bit. But let's get into this next replay. We pushed over to the right side of the map and I'm being a little bit too aggressive here. I think I made the right decision though, because the M41 had the same exact idea as me, and if I was not here, he would have been able to get shots on my team. We're in a 1v1 and I lost a good amount of my hit points right at the start of the battle, which I really didn't want to do, but I had my team behind me so I could always fall back on their hit point pools if I get low enough in HP. It looks like my team hit the M41 and I'm just going to pull out, give him a nice little tap, and just wait to see if he YOLOs out since he's a one-shot. I could rush out and trade with the M41, taking him out of the game, but I don't really want to take any unnecessary damage if I don't have to. And just in case, I need as much HP as I can towards the end of the battle in case things go south. Now we got to deal with the T4485 and the Lance and C. I'm moving very cautiously and I'm just looking for an opening to flank, push, or just get some shots in on them, while keeping an eye on my teammates, seeing if they're rushing in or if they're just holding position and knowing if they'll be able to support me or not if I decide to move in. When I notice that the T44 is running away and the Lance and C is all by himself right now, so I have to take this golden opportunity, rush in, and catch him off guard. We get a hit into him and I start backing up so his gun won't be able to hit me when the 44 is spotted. I get another shot off and he decides to splash me instead of just having AP and aiming for my tracks. If I was tracked in place right there, I would have been stuck out in the open for a good couple seconds because I didn't have my repair kit. That's why I recommend aiming for the tracks whenever the enemy is out in the open, because they might not have a repair kit, and even if they do, they'll be able to use it up, so next time they need it, they won't have it. The 85 is running away, but I was able to get a good couple shots into him before he got out of sight. And at some point when I was focusing the T44, my teammates were able to get the Lancing down to a one-shot, so all I have to do is wait until he's not looking in my direction, come around the corner, and send him back to the garage. The T44 is trying the best that he can to get away from us, but the Progetto and I are going to be able to catch up and take him out. The 44 is a fairly fast tank and he could have gotten away from us. Like, I missed my first shot there, but he ends up running into a building. My second shot hits him and he manages to track us, but luckily this time I have my repair kit. I'm gonna get one last shot into him before the Progetto moves in and finishes him off. I start checking out the battle. My team to the left is dealing with the AMX and the VK is spotted fairly close and he is low HP, so me and the Progetto are going to focus him first. The VK45 really didn't stand a chance with my reload time and my teammate's auto reloader. We were easily going to tear him apart and send him back to the garage. And he bounces off our gun mantlet, no extra damage for you. All that's left is the AMX and the MO1. We end up taking them out and getting the win for our team. Is the T23E3 worth it? It depends. I believe there is a skill gap to playing this tank. It has no armor and no gun depression, but it has good mobility and damage per minute. So if you like tanks with that type of playstyle, go ahead and get it. You'll like the medium. But if you're a newer player looking to get one of their first premium tanks, I would hold off on getting the E3. Don't get me wrong, it is a very good tank as long as you know how to use the playstyle. Do you think the E3 takes more skill to play, or would you recommend it to newer players? Let me know in the comments below. Did you enjoy the review? Check this one out, you'll like it too.